It's Thursday, October 23rd. In the headlines, schools across Jamaica remain closed today as authorities prepare for tropical storm Melissa. National Works Agency clears Sandy Gully ahead of a tropical storm Melissa. In business news, we have the latest market updates. Regionally, United Nations rushes $4 million in aid to Haiti ahead of tropical storm Melissa. And in sports, original Reggae Boys star Ricardo Bibi Gardner gives advice to current players. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Schools across Jamaica remain closed today as the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information continues to monitor the progress of Tropical Storm Melissa, which is moving slowly across the Caribbean Sea. A tropical storm warning remains in effect for the island, with forecasters saying that the system could bring heavy rainfall and strong winds within the next 24 hours. The ministry says the decision to suspend all face-to-face classes was made to ensure the safety of students and staff as the weather system approaches. Officials say they remain in close contact with the Meteorological Service of Jamaica to track any developments. In the meantime, schools have been instructed to activate their education in emergency plan to keep students engaged remotely. Teachers are conducting classes online, while principals and school administrators have been urged to keep parents and guardians informed through established communication channels. The ministry has also advised schools designated as emergency shelters to coordinate with local shelter managers in case they need to be activated. The ministry says it will continue to monitor Tropical Storm Melissa closely and provide further updates as conditions evolve. Students and staff are reminded to stay safe and follow official advisories. A tropical storm warning and a hurricane watch are in effect as Tropical Storm Melissa moves slowly across the Caribbean Sea southwest of Hispaniola. This means tropical storm conditions pose a threat to Jamaica within 36 hours, and hurricane conditions are likely to pose a threat within 48 hours. At 7 a.m., the center of Tropical Storm Melissa was located by Air Force Reserve reconnaissance aircraft near latitude 15.5 degrees north, longitude 74.9 degrees west. It's about 303 kilometers southeast of Morant Point. That's about 188 miles. Or about 345 kilometers, that's 215 miles, southeast of the capital, Kingston. Tropical Storm Melissa is moving very slowly towards the northwest, near 7 kilometers per hour. A slow forward speed and a gradual turn to the northwest or north motion is forecast during the next couple of days, followed by a westward turn over the weekend. Maximum sustained winds are near 85 kilometers per hour with higher gusts. Little change in strength is forecast during the next day or so, but Melissa could become a hurricane in a couple of days with more substantial intensification forecast by late Friday and through the weekend. On the forecast track, Tropical Storm Melissa is expected to continue in the direction of Jamaica before turning towards west on Saturday and moving over the waters south of the island. As the system nears Jamaica, showers will begin to affect the island with periods of moderate to heavy rainfall beginning late this afternoon. According to the Met Office, this will continue through Friday and the weekend. Strong gusty winds, possibly reaching tropical storm strength, are expected to gradually develop late today and Friday, continuing into the weekend. These winds will initially affect eastern and southern parishes before gradually spreading across the remainder of the island. Winds reaching hurricane strength are possible over sections of eastern parishes as early as Saturday, as Tropical Storm Melissa continues to move closer to Jamaica. Marine interests should expect widespread heavy showers and thunderstorms, accompanied by tropical storm force winds today and continuing through the weekend. Winds reaching hurricane strength are likely on Saturday, particularly over the southern and eastern offshore waters as Tropical Storm Melissa moves closer. All small craft operators, including fishers from the Keys and Banks, should by now be in port and are urged to complete the necessary safety precautions without delay. The Ministry of Health has activated its emergency operations. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton gave an update at a special press conference this morning.
The Emergency Operation Center is now fully activated within the Ministry of Health and Wellness. It's a 24-hour center which keeps in touch with all the collaborating agencies and mans from that space the response that is required throughout the country. And that is up and running. All public hospitals will now enter emergency mode. This means that while hospitals remain open, outpatient services and elective surgeries will be suspended for the time being to focus on the emergencies. Visitations will be limited, and family members are asked to pick up their relatives who have been admitted for non-critical reasons, and the respective hospitals will reach out to those family members. We have to reserve bed space just in case we need them for emergencies. In terms of health centers, we remain open until 4 p.m. today. A further update on our health centers will be provided tomorrow. So up to 4 p.m. you can access health centers across the country. We have 325 across the country.
With Tropical Storm Melissa inching closer to Jamaica, disaster officials say the country's emergency systems are fully activated. Director General of ODPEM, Richard Thompson, says teams across the island have been on standby since the weekend as the agency moves to ensure full national readiness.
As Tropical Storm Melissa continues to approach the island, Jamaica's disaster response machinery is on high alert. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, says all systems and personnel are in place to respond to any potential impact.
So the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, along with the National Emergency Response Team, we have been monitoring this development of this storm event from roughly Thursday, October 18th, 2025. To date, we have carried out a number of activities. You heard some mentioned by Minister Mackenzie in terms of our general preparation. One of the main things that we have done when we are facing anything of this nature is to immediately put our parish and national disaster mechanism on standby in preparation for any eventuality.
Speaking at a special press briefing on Wednesday, Director General at ODPEM, Richard Thompson, says a major planning meeting was held on Tuesday with national response agencies and key partners to assess readiness levels and to coordinate response efforts.
That meeting of the Operation Planning Grouping of the National Emergency Operations Center, we had in excess of 25 agencies being on that meeting, all parishes to include the CEOs and the parish disaster coordinators, the Jamaica Defense Force, Jamaica Constabulary Force, and the Jamaica Fire Brigade, and also the NGOs to include the Red Cross, Salvation Army, ADRA, and Food for the Poor. And we also had on that meeting our very able and continuous partner, for the UNDP, was a part of that process, given the role that they play in terms of assisting us in terms of our disaster management preparation.
The ODPEM head also highlighted that effective communication remains a top priority during emergencies.
We don't want to have a situation where persons are not on the correct call group when we are going through our communication processes in times of disaster. So the team is currently going through all that radar protocol to ensure that everything is a go when we have to go operational over the weekend.
The ODPEM Director General is urging citizens to stay alert, monitor official advisories, and ensure their own homes and families are prepared as Tropical Storm Melissa draws nearer.
With schools closed due to the impending storm and many Jamaicans in preparation mode, there was little traffic in the corporate area. The usually busy halfway tree thoroughfare had noticeably less people traversing the streets. Even the transport center was not as busy with buses parked, waiting for commuters. Some persons were still making their way to work and other destinations. Some street vendors are still plying their ware, but some have closed shop. Most Portmore residents often leave the area and travel to Kingston for work, but only a few people were out, and the usually busy Portmore toll center was free of traffic. The silting operations along the Sandy Gully in Kingston are being done by the National Works Agency, NWA, as part of precautionary measures ahead of the passage of Tropical Storm Melissa. The cleanup aims to protect the Sandy Gully Bridge, which has been threatened by the heavy buildup of debris carried downstream from several surrounding communities. Excavators and trucks were visible removing silt and waste during a site visit by the NWA's communications manager, Stephen Shaw.
Well, one of the things that we would have observed, certainly at Sandy Gully and at McGregor Gully, is really how some of us Jamaicans disposed of our garbage. We saw in the Sandy Gully 3/4 of a car sitting inside the middle of this very wide channel. We saw old household appliances.
Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development with responsibility for works, Robert Morgan, says the exercise was being conducted to safeguard lives and property in communities along the gully, but acknowledged that the intervention is only a temporary fix. The minister notes that the visit also forms part of the government's broader assessment efforts to identify long-term solutions and improve preparedness for future extreme weather events. People who live in tropical countries should prepare for storms because these regions are especially vulnerable to tropical storms, hurricanes, and cyclones, which can develop quickly and cause widespread damage. Preparation saves lives and reduces the long-term impact of storms on communities in tropical regions. Let's get some tips from Brittany Walker on how we can prepare for these natural disasters.
If your country is prone to hurricanes, storms, or other weather phenomenon, you have to be prepared. Take basic steps now to ensure your safety should a storm hit. You might be hearing the term tropical storm in weather alerts. A tropical storm is an area of extreme low pressure. This suggests that air is rising, causing low pressure on the Earth's surface, which originates over warm tropical oceans. Before a tropical storm, get cash and ensure that your vehicle is filled with gas. If you have to evacuate your community, you will not have time to do this. During a tropical storm, stay informed. Use your portable radio to stay up to date on what is happening in your area. When preparing for a hurricane, you should create an emergency kit. In this kit, you should include water boots, raincoats, flashlights, batteries, a portable radio, kerosene lamps, candles, matches, and a first aid kit. These things are important for you to have in case you have to go outside if there is no electricity or if you get a minor injury.
Jamaica remains under a tropical storm warning as Tropical Storm Melissa is moving slowly across the region less than 300 miles away from Jamaica. The authorities have urged Jamaicans to put preparations in place in their households against the effects of the storm. Chanel Matthews has been in the streets asking people what they've been doing to prepare.
Hurricane season in Jamaica starts in June and ends in November. How do you prepare for a hurricane?
So I prepare for a hurricane by stocking up like food and toilet tissue and mackerel and them something like that. Flour, rice, and then you protect like a glass part them in your house and the part them are easy for like lift up, you nail them down.
Well, I start by ensuring that all the trees around my house, the branches that are hanging loose, I get rid of them, stocking up on non-perishable food items, ensuring that I batten down and store water for the hurricane.
Right now you have to just spray and rebuke the wind. Also, you have to prepare, should in case it come, ensure that you batten up, have food and all of that. So should in case it come, you are not at a tremendous loss.
I haven't had that experience before, but what I would do is like follow whatever it is that the ministry, that the part of the government that is responsible for that aspect, whatever they advise, I would just do it.
Wherever a hurricane come, first thing I do, set up my house top, I know say it can't blow up if I like go and zinc and them thing there. And put some storage to hold it down. You understand? But if otherwise I'm in a concrete house, I have a prepare. And then secondly, I will get some food put in my house. I mean, so boy, in case the hurricane come and light gone, we have some things to store already and the freeze already. You understand?
Well, I normally go out, get the supplies when it's like a bulletin is issued that a storm is coming or a hurricane. So I will go to the supermarket, get my batteries, stuff like that.
You have to make sure you have food in the house, your roof all right, all the kids them in the house and so forth. And you know and say, well, you know say you don't have a touchback road. You know? All of the house have in the order like roofing and them something there. So I say grocery have in the house, water, you know? Whole part of things so you know we know say well, it accommodate that thing there. Hurricane program. See I say? Can you discuss and tell upon the news all the way there. You see I say? So just prepare yourself, proper way, real way. If you have a business, you go back on your business and them thing there too. See I say? Yeah, cause you don't know hurricane and now and someone might come. Over breeze, rain, so you have to well prepare.
Time now for the latest market updates with Denise Williams.
For the trading period ending October 22, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Carreras Limited with 3,311,138 units, representing 16.06% of market sales volume. Sagicor Select Funds Limited Financial with 3,001,321 units, representing 14.56% of total market assets. Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with 2,483,069 units, representing 12.04% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On October 22, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $67.76 million purchased and US $54.61 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.82 per dollar, selling the US at $161.29 and buying the US at $159.47. The Canadian dollar netted Forex traders $1.54 per transaction, with selling at $114.25 and buying at $112.71. The British pound yielded Forex traders 81 cents in profits, with selling at $214.92 and buying at $214.11. For our credit report tip of the day, it's time to take back control and rebuild your credit with purpose and fire. Don't wait for perfect timing. Start now. Pull your credit reports and face them with confidence. Fix every error, pay down those high balances, and put your payments on autopilot. Every step you take today strengthens your foundation, because you're not just rebuilding credit, you're building the financial power to fund your dream from the ground up. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. See you soon.
In regional news, as Tropical Storm Melissa continues to move slowly across the Caribbean and is expected to become a hurricane by Friday, the United Nations is rushing emergency support to Haiti. The UN's Central Emergency Response Fund, CERF, has released $4 million to 3 agencies: the World Food Programme, UNICEF, and the International Organization for Migration, to assist more than 100,000 vulnerable people before the storm makes landfall. The funding will help boost preparedness and evacuation efforts, provide cash assistance, and distribute emergency shelter, water, sanitation, and hygiene kits. The UN says humanitarian teams are working closely with the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency to reduce the impact of heavy rains, strong winds, and possible flooding. A hurricane watch has been issued for southwestern Haiti, as Melissa is forecast to strengthen into a hurricane by Friday. There's a frank message for Caribbean governments as the Trump administration moves to take an equity stake in major U.S. companies, signals a major policy shift. Economist professor in Antigua and Barbuda, C. Justin Robinson, says the development highlights the need for regional leaders to design policies that serve local realities rather than external agendas. Garfield Burford reports.
Economist and the UE5 Islands campus principal, Professor C. Justin Robinson, says the United States is now pursuing a model of state capitalism it condemned for decades when it was being practiced in China. Professor Robinson uses his latest column to point to the Trump administration's moves to take equity stakes in certain companies, including a 10% share of Intel worth $9 billion, plus a 15% stake in MP Materials worth $400 million. There is also a veto power for President Trump in U.S. Steel's major decisions. Professor Robinson insists there is a clear lesson for Caribbean countries. He argues, quote, if America can take stakes in strategic companies when it suits national interests, why can't Caribbean nations maintain public ownership of essential services when it serves their populations? If Washington demands revenue shares from tech giants, why can't small island states structure economies to capture more value from tourism and natural resources? End quote. In August this year, Prime Minister Brown had also commented on the U.S.'s policy shift, indicating it aligns with his own administration's philosophy.
Empowerment capitalism, that is our economic model, bespoke economic model, which incidentally I notice has been practiced now by the United States. President Trump just reported that the United States is buying 10% in Intel and that he will make other such strategic investments in profitable companies in the United States. That is entrepreneurial capitalism. Again, that was developed right here in Antigua and Barbuda.
Professor Robinson is urging Caribbean governments to act in their own practical interests, not the dictates of others. He says for decades, Caribbean nations privatized assets, liberalized markets, and gutted government capacity at the behest of the Washington-based multilateral agencies. However, as the region's small island developing states grapple with the perils of climate change, The Economist says climate vulnerability demands robust state capacity, not dismantled public sectors. He opines, quote, "The choice between state capitalism and free markets is a false binary. What matters is building resilient, accountable systems that work for your people." Washington's U-turn finally makes that truth undeniable.
In sports, Jamaica's Reggae Boys have moved up one spot to 68th in the latest FIFA Coca-Cola Men's World Ranking, following a mixed but productive international window in October. The slight rise comes after contrasting results in the CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers, where Jamaica rebounded from a 2-0 loss to Curaçao, with a dominant 4-0 win over Bermuda to regain control of Group B. Jamaica qualified for the finals of the FIFA World Cup once, in 1998. Ricardo Bibi Gardner was a member of the historic Reggae Boys squad. The former Reggae Boy footballer was conferred with the Order of Distinction in the rank of officer on National Heroes Day on Monday. And he had a word of advice for the Reggae Boys who are working to be a part of the greatest show on earth.
Well, I just want to encourage them, and I will be supporting them from near and far. I think they are doing a very good job. At the end of the day, we can say it's the easiest route, but without them going out there and doing what they need to do on a daily basis, that's something different, and they have to go out there and get the job done. So I just want to encourage them to just go out there and just give up their best, because that's all we can ask for. And they are always giving their best whenever they put on the shirt. So just continue on that path.
He says his most memorable moment was playing against Argentina, because growing up, he was a massive fan of Diego Maradona. A Trinidad and Tobago Cycling Federation 5-member team recently departed for Santiago, Chile, to compete at the UCI Elite Track World Championships. Among the contingent is Makira Wallace, who is set to be the first Trinidad and Tobago cyclist to compete in the sprint event at the championships. Here's more in this story by Adrian Lazar.
A 5-member Trinidad and Tobago contingent is set to grace the cycling track in Santiago, Chile for the 2025 UCI Track World Championships, which began on October 22nd and will run until the 25th. On the team, fresh from winning gold in the women's individual time trial at the Caribbean Elite Road Cycling Championships in Belize, is Tennille Campbell, who will compete in the individual pursuit and points race. Akil Campbell, who also competed at the Road Cycling Championships, will participate in the points, omnium, individual pursuit and elimination races. Two-time World Championship silver medalist Nicholas Paul will be hoping to add to his list of honors in the sprint, keirin and 1 kilometer time trial. Olympian Jasain Phillip is set to compete in the sprint and keirin, while fellow JLD Cycling Academy's Makira Wallace is cadred to make history as the first TNT female cyclist to compete in the sprint event of the tournament. TNT will begin their campaign on Thursday in the sprint and keirin events.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. Stay safe.